We had some young men and women who went off to Jamaica, the Caribbean Maritime University, to do some training, deck and engineer cadets. And they have been having a horrid time in terms of their stay in Jamaica and their support from the Antiguan Barbuda Port Authority, which is supposed to be the sponsor. Let us talk to that. I know you have, that is close to your heart.
Yes. Now, this is a matter that I feel very strongly about. I'm very passionate about this. I look at a group of 17 young Antiguans who were taken up and they were paraded and everybody was very happy for them. They had been selected to pursue studies in Jamaica at the Caribbean Maritime University, and they would have achieved qualifications. First of all, a BSc. Some of them opted for the BSc in marine transportation, which would have qualified them to become harbor pilots. And then the others, they opted for the BSc in marine engineering, which would have allowed them to become engineers down at the port. And so it was a bright and happy day for everyone. Parents were involved. Everybody felt very happy for these young Antiguan boys and girls going off to university. It's a proud day for everybody. But then it goes downhill from there. And, they were given these letters, told that they were going to be studying in Jamaica, and when they came back, what would be expected of them. The Antigua Port Authority and the government of Antigua and Barbuda were very happy and said all the nice things, where you have been selected by the Antigua Port Authority to attend the Caribbean Maritime Institute as a student in the pilot program or in the engineers program. Goes on to say that the government of Antigua and Barbuda and the Port Authority will be responsible for all your expenses towards the students' tuition and other auxiliary costs for the duration of the course of study. So it's all good, everybody is so happy and so on, On the 15th of August, 2016, they were made to sign a bond agreement, and it was said that they had been selected to attend this university, the Caribbean Maritime Institute, in the discipline for a period of 4 years. And that the Port Authority and the government would be responsible for funding their entire course. And this is the thing. They say when the studies are finished, they will come back to effect duties in the marine department as a marine pilot, in this case, a marine pilot. Others were for marine engineer.
Yes.
Now, everybody was very happy for these students as they left, and they found that the first year, they said, wasn't bad. The second year started to create some problems. When money was to have been paid, money wasn't paid. It became worse in 2018. 2018, they found now that they were being taken out of classes. They couldn't write exams. They were being prevented from doing some of the short courses. It begins to get really terrible for these students.
Being paid by
the government and the Port Authority to the Caribbean Maritime Institute. So you have the Antiguan students now being taken out of classes, being prevented from doing their exams and things like that. So it starts to get really bad. Then comes COVID, and it gets even worse. They're complaining. The classes are now online, and as they coming home, some of them were stuck in Jamaica. Those who were able to come home, they completed their final semester eventually, then no work. So they're here, back home. Many of them, they have been unable to complete their studies. A few of them were able to at least complete the final semester in terms of the straightforward academic course, but they weren't able to do short courses because some of them, the short courses that they were able to do to make them qualified in their field, they weren't getting the certificates for the ones they had already done and passed. And they were prevented from doing any further short courses to help them with their qualification. The sea time that they're supposed to do, like the training on the sea, that was supposed to be part of the course. They said, no, you're not going to do it in the course. You'll do it when you come home. When they came home, not for their comfort. Nothing is happening for them. The parents had to be going to see the people at the port. The government gave them nothing but promises and bluffs. They couldn't get their other certificates that they had qualified to attain. They had passed their exams. And then came the crunch, their degrees. When they were ready to get their degrees, because they had already completed their studies, this is separate to the short courses for which they would get certificates, different short courses in all the different areas of their study. Their degree time came, and the situation was so bad for them. Not only were they prevented, as I indicated, from attending classes and so on, but they couldn't receive their degrees. They were barred from receiving their degrees. They were barred from even doing the resits. Some of them who may have had like one extra subject to do in order to complete the studies, they were barred from doing their resits.
For the non-payment of fees.
Because of non-payment. All of this is because of non-payment. Then they were prevented from doing short courses, as I said. They were prevented from receiving certificates. And what I believe must have been most painful for those who had completed the degree program and didn't have to do any resits, everything was fine. When the day for the graduation came, they were locked out of the graduation ceremony. Now, you know what graduations mean, especially not to the students, but to the parents. Because when you're a parent and you have a young, bright child who has qualified, you know, doing all these subjects, you know, they've mathematics, and they would have done a lot of not algebra, but, you know, a lot of the courses to, that would have to be related to mathematical formulae so that they can work all the things out as marine engineers and pilots in the port and so on. The day of graduation came. And imagine all those parents who would have been looking forward to this day of graduation. I know parents who would throw a box just to attend graduation, whether it be in New York, wherever, where their students, where their children are suffering. And that's such a proud day for parents. And imagine your son, who would have, or daughter, who would have undergone these studies, all these trials and tribulations, but they would have successfully climbed the greasy pole, successfully crossed all of these hurdles. And this is their big day. This is your big day as a parent, to sit in the crowd and to say, that's my son, that's my daughter, as they cross the stage to get their degree and this and Antiguan and Barbudan students locked out of the graduation ceremony, denied the opportunity to graduate because you have a government and a port authority who don't care enough to make sure that the fees are paid to the Caribbean Maritime Institute so that our sons and daughters could have that wonderful moment. And I just want to say something here, why this is so critical. Because when we're looking about the development of our human capital, when we're looking about the development of our youth, and you have a group of bright young people whose only ambition is to serve their country, to serve in the capacity as harbor pilots, as marine engineers, to play their small part in the development of this nation, where their hopes would have been built up, to be so cruelly dashed, where up to now they don't know where they stand. A few months ago, sometime in March, they were offered one-year contracts to work as cadets. As cadets, when they were promised that after 4 years They were coming back to work as engineers and as pilots. And they are now working as cadets on a one-year contract. And it's not the first time, you know, in September of last year, 7 of them were called in. But the only reason why they were called in, and they were called in to work as longshoremen and tally clerks, because the mandate had been implemented down in the port, and there was a staff shortage. So they didn't think about them all the time. But here there was a shortage.
The vaccine mandate?
That's right.
Oh, okay.
There was a shortage because of the vaccine mandate. And that is the only time 7 of them were called in. And you know what happened? On the last day of December, by WhatsApp, they were terminated with immediate effect. So this approach where you have no use for them, you send them away to study, you bring them back, there's no work for them, there's a staff shortage, you call them in, they work to fill in the gap for the people who have not taken the vaccine. Then on the last day of the year, you're terminated by WhatsApp with immediate effect, nothing further. In March, they put you on a one-year contract after all your years of study. No, it's estimated that the whole program would last you about 7.5 years. 4 years for the academic part, and there'll be another 3.5 years where you'd be doing your undersea training and so on, and you would be expected to qualify for the certificate of competence. They can't do any of that. All of that has been denied. And so we're saying, look, the time has come for them to work it out, fix it, and get it right for these young people. It is not good enough to have our young people suffering like this. And I want to say, these are not the sons and daughters of the well-to-do and the influential in our society. These are the sons and daughters of hard-working, law-abiding Antiguans and Barbudans. Parents who go to church, pay their taxes, and obey the law. They have paid their dues, and their children do not deserve to be treated in this callous way. And we're calling on the government of Antigua and Barbuda and the Port Authority to do right by these young people. Get it right. Allow them to get their degrees. Allow them to get their certificates. Allow them to fulfill their potential. Allow them to realize their dreams and their ambitions, and stop treating them in this disrespectful way, where because they are not the sons and daughters of those who are influential and powerful in this society, they're being treated in this callous manner. It must stop. And we're calling on this administration to do something about it and to get it right. And the time for delay has passed. Get it right now.